Okay, Ken Oehler from RADICL coming to you live, wrapping up day one of the Unleash conference in Las Vegas. I have the privilege of talking with Gary Bolles. You've got just such a distinguished track record here. So you're the author of The Next Rules of Work. You
Yes.
are the chair of the Future of Work for Singularity University.
Correct.
You've got a LinkedIn Learning session on LinkedIn Learning.
Actually, 10 courses.
10 courses.
Yeah.
But the latest is Skills for the Future of Work, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Skills for leading the future of work. Correct.
And so the list goes on and on. So thank you so much. Oh, and you emceed the day today.
Yeah,
So
that was
you've
a lot
been
of
on the
fun.
main stage all day. So thanks so much. Tell us a little bit about what your big takeaways. I mean, you saw so many great sessions today. What really jumped out at you as being sort of exciting and fresh and disruptive?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I think it's really important for people to understand just how pivotal these times are. There's been a lot of cycles where technology and world events change things, but there's been nothing quite like this. And so I believe we're at a point where we're going to have to double down on people, and the people function is going to have to double down on the way that it is creating the kind of connection between people and organizations, or else you're going to see these flywheel effects where people and their ways that they work, the ways that they help the organization to create value for its stakeholders, all of that is going to become much more difficult as we continue to have this exponential change, these technologies that are transforming so much of work. And that means a lot more on the shoulders of the people function after we've just been through a global pandemic. So it's both good news, hey, you know what, you're so much more important, and the challenge is, boy, we just have been through a lot of change.
Yes.
So now we have to adapt to the next one. And so we need the mindset, skill set, and tool set to do that.
Yes. Okay. So we're all about the employee experience, and we believe every person deserves an epic work experience, a journey over their lifetime. And this is about having purpose and about being seen as an individual and having a reason for being at this company, a reason to give all these skills and energy that people have to give to the company. However, we think it's not working so well right now. The employee experience is broken. And there's a whole bunch of reasons from the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic. I guess, let's go into some reasons, but I would assume you agree with that.
So absolutely. So one of the ways for your listeners to picture this is to think of sort of waves of the rules of work. There are these old rules that many companies were following before, many organizations followed before COVID. And then these sort of next rules of much more flexible work, much more of a focus on purpose and engagement with the organization. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is once the panic is over, we tend to bungee cord back to the way we did things before. And so I think that's really where we are right now, is we don't want to go back to those old rules practices. We really want to figure out how we can co-create these next rules together, and because it's going to keep on changing.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by how the pendulum has swung, where we learned we could work remotely during the pandemic, but now you see a new CEO every week saying, got to get back in the office, and maybe not even delivering that message so well. I'm convinced, like you said, that there's something about the work has changed, but people are using old rules. I'm wondering what you see behind this sort of maybe ramp back into the office from some of the leaders around the world.
So, I mean, if there's anything we could kind of distill it down to, I'd say it's trust.
Yeah.
We had the combination of incentives and disincentives during the pandemic to trust. Our company's going to fail and you're going to lose your job if we don't suddenly become distributed. And so we took managers, which I call team guides, and we put them in the position of saying, you must trust. And now we can all come back together again, and suddenly trust goes away? It shouldn't work like that. Yeah. And so all the things you're talking about in terms of the ways that I think of this as the relationship between workers and their organizations, and all of the things you're talking about in terms of engagement and also diversity, equity, inclusion, all those things I lump into what I call membership. And it's really this feeling of a degree of connection to an organization, to your teammates, to the things that you do, that really defines so much of the way that workers experience the result that they have in that relationship.
So let's maybe just wrap it up by some solutions. I'm really struck by some things from your book, The Next Rules of Work, about mindset, skill set, tool set. where should you start? Which is maybe perhaps the easiest to enter? What's the most difficult?
All right, so I'm going to say where should you start, and the most difficult is transforming the role of the formerly known as the manager or supervisor, or what I call the team guide, is to help them to be able to have all the tools they need, the training and the understanding, so that they can actually build the kind of connections between workers. They can actually have their teams trusted to be able to do the work of the organization and not just bungee cord back to those old rules.
Terrific. Great way to wrap it up. What are you excited about for tomorrow?
Oh, so it's a great lineup tomorrow, and I think what we're going to see is there's going to be a lot of different examples of ways that we can actually put the strategies that people talked about today into action in the organization.
Great. Thanks for your time, Gary.